Welcome back. My name is Miss Amber. I'm the host of the ABCs of Preschool. Thank you so much for joining me this week. February is all about love. And today I want to talk about the five love languages. Now, first off, this is not something that I came up with. The famous Gary Chapman came up with the five love languages, The Secrets to Love That Lasts. It's a book that was written a long time ago. And I'm sure a lot of us, maybe you haven't heard about this yet, but I don't know, years ago, I got my hands on the five love languages for couples. And I try to incorporate that in my own relationship. And there's also a book, The Five Love Languages of Children. And they're the same kind of five love languages, but it's just how do we interpret the love that our children need. So today's going to be a fun one. We are going to dive into the five love languages, and I highly recommend looking into these books by Gary Chapman. Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell are the authors of the five love languages of children. And Gary Chapman just wrote, he's the only author for the five love languages. But I think there's several versions now of the five love languages. That's like, why can I not say that today? But welcome to the show. We're going to talk about the five love languages. And specifically, we're going to talk about how that looks for our children. But of course, I'm going to talk about it in our relationships as well, because I think it's really important as parents of little ones to maintain a strong relationship with your partner. I think a lot of times people have children and get into the chaotic, crazy life of parenting that's so busy. You're managing your jobs, you're managing your children, different schedules, that sometimes you can overlook your partner. And I remember as a kid, let me back up. So as a kid, my parents loved each other deeply. So I feel very grateful that I was raised in a home with two people who absolutely loved each other. If my mom did not pass away 6 years ago, very suddenly, they would be married. I think they were married 43 years when she passed. So yes, they've been married almost 49 years. My math could be wrong and off by a couple years, but you get the point. They were very happy. They loved each other. And it was very, very known in our house that their relationship came first, then us. And as a kid, I don't know how I really felt like that. If, to be honest, I think sometimes I felt like it felt backwards. But now, as a 46-year-old woman who's raised four kids, who's been divorced and now remarried, I see how fast our children grow up. I see how fast it goes and how they become their own adult human beings in their own adult life. And then you're with your partner. And if you do not pour love into your relationship, your partner, then it can fizzle. And our kids will leave the home. They're going to leave the house, they're going to be gone, but your partner hopefully is with you till death do us part. That's the goal. Now, obviously, I'm going to be very frank here. My first marriage did not work out. It wasn't until death do us part. But I will say, looking back at that relationship, we used the five love language. I cannot say it. We used the five love languages often in our relationship. And I'm happily married today to like the love of my life, my husband now. We use the five love languages in our marriage. And we check in with each other a lot about how full our tank is. Like, what else do we need? Are we missing something? Basically, think about the five love languages as we each have a gas tank. And I talked about this last week in the podcast. And we need, just like our cars, if we drive, we're going to be low on gas. And so it's the same kind of thing in a relationship is we need to be depositing love, joy, positivity in each other. And every one of us as human beings receives love differently. I think that's why I love the five love languages so much because it breaks it down to five different types of love. And a lot of us, I myself included, I know that how I give love is a lot of notes, words of affirmation, is the way I give love to my kids and to my husband a lot. And so even as I record this, I got to take a minute and think, that's how I need love. And I think it's so natural for all of us to give love the way we need love. But the book, and in reality, as we dive into the five love languages, it's identifying what our partner needs, what our children needs. How do they need to feel love, like be loved and feel it? We can all say, I love you to our spouse, to our children 20 times a day. But it's a different way to express love. And not everybody feels love by just those words. Love is actions or words of affirmation or physical touch. So let's dive into what are the five love languages? Like, what are they? So the first one is physical touch. So it's pretty obvious. There are lots of you out there that your love language, how your gas tank gets filled every day is by touch, by hugs, by holding hands. If it's your spouse, it's by, being intimate or just cuddling, sitting on the couch next to each other, holding hands. Like touch for you is like, that is your love language, is physical touch. That is one way that is one of the five love languages. I think how do we figure out the love language that our little ones need, right? That's the question. It's pretty obvious with our spouse. There's apps, I think, now that you can take little quizzes on your love language so you can kind of narrow it down, like which love language is it that you need in your life, that you need your partner to give to you to feel love. I highly recommend that. I think it's really important as we progress our relationships, as we grow in love and grow in our relationships, especially with our spouses, our partners, raising little ones. I want to encourage you guys to pause and take a minute and think about what you need in your relationship. Because I think it's like a pyramid, right? I think my mom and dad were onto something, to be honest. I think that them putting their relationship first before us, they nurtured and cared and took time out. They would always take 1 week vacation every single year. Would be at a grandma's. They would go as we got older. They would spend like a weekend in a hotel 30 minutes away just to get away. They put the time and energy into their relationship and they were in it till death do us part. I think as society now, it's really easy to say and think the grass is greener on the other side. And we have to realize our grass can be completely green right here. It's not greener on the other side. We just haven't explore that other side, and like all the other issues and everything that we're dealing with now could possibly be on that other side as well. But if you are in a relationship that's not abusive, that's, your partner's not cheating on you, you're just in an ordinary relationship like love is, love just gets to be a different love after a while, right? It's a deeper love. It's a love that we choose every single day. I'm going to choose you, but we have to nurture and we have to care for that relationship. And as parents, I think it's so important for us to nurture and care for that relationship because we are the leaders. We're the parents of our children. And we want them to see a healthy relationship. We want them to see the time that it takes for care and love of each other because we want our kids to have that, right? Like, I want my kids to grow up and to have a wonderful love, but we have to be the role models. And I think the 5 love languages is just a really cool, simple tool to use to figure out your partner's love language, to figure out your love language, and to figure out our kids' love languages. So let's figure it out. What are the 5 love languages? The first one is physical touch. The second one is words of affirmation. The third one is quality time. The fourth is gifts. And the fifth is acts of service. So let's go back to physical touch. So obviously, if you do a quiz or you talk about this a lot in your relationship, like I know personally, my husband, his main love language is physical touch. And I also recognize for me that that is on the bottom of my list. So as I record this and as I speak on this, I'm actually speaking to myself too. I just want to be honest here. A little reminder of myself that I write him. So he's a pilot. He travels, obviously. And every time he goes on a trip, I write him love notes. It's just a great way for us to feel connected while he's gone. And then he typically writes me, he flips that note over, and then he writes me a love note, and that's just our game. That's what we play. That's what we do. Sometimes with my kids, I write them notes and I leave it in their bathroom. Like words of affirmation is what I feel like pours out of me, but I have to pause and always remember his true love language is physical touch. And since mine's on the bottom, I have to really think about it. Of course, I love hugging, I love holding hands, all of that. I think I need to do it way more so he can really, really feel it. It's so easy for us to give love the way we need love in return. But the book, if we dive deep into this amazing book and amazing tools, we've got to recognize what our partner's needs are and what our kids' needs are. If you have little ones, and if you're listening to this, you probably are. If you're a teacher, if you're an owner of a preschool, I think this all correlates because as I was reading the book about the 5 love languages of children, again, because I read it a long time ago, it just really reminded me of all the students that have crossed my path in my classes. And kids, how do we recognize what our little ones need? They're going to tell us. So, physical touch, like I can think of so many students that would give me 15 hugs a day. Just hug, 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 hug. Guess what? That is their love language. Do you have a little one? Maybe you're a teacher and you're teaching. Do you have little ones in your classroom that constantly hug you? They need hugs back. I think that's how they feel love. Is your little one, maybe you're a mama and you're listening to this and you have a little one, 2, 3, 4, 5-year old that hugs you all the time, just wants to hug you, maybe wants to hold your hand. Dr. Gary Chapman is saying that that's how kids tell you what their love language is, especially little ones who really can't, they don't have the voice, they don't have the words yet to explain, like, mommy, my love language is physical touch. That's not the case, but they're going to do what they need. So, do you have a child that is a hugger, that wants to hold your hand? I encourage you to hug them back, hold their hand. Are you a teacher? Are you an early childhood educator? Those kids need your warmth and touch. That's how they're going to feel safe and nurtured and loved. The next one is words of affirmation. The little kids, I can see a student in my head right now that when I'm at the school, I hear, I love you. I love you, Miss Amber. I love you. I love you, Miss Amber. Or I like your shirt. I like your shoes. Guess what? Their love language is words of affirmation. Kids are going to do what they need from you. So when you hear that in your classroom or from your own little one, give it back. They're going to thrive and feel your love beyond the words of I love you with words of affirmation. Oh, I love how you're walking to the bathroom right now. Oh, I love how you sing that song. Oh, I love your shoes. That's so fun. You can run really fast with those shoes, can't you? Oh, I love spending time with you. I'm a words of affirmation kind of girl. And I don't know if it's because I'm an entrepreneur and so I own my business. And, when you are kind of sitting at the top, you don't have anybody above you to say, job well done, right? Like that just doesn't happen. So I don't know if I've always been like this, but for the last couple decades, I'm a words of affirmation girl through and through. And this is just a really good reminder for me that not everybody receives love that way. But I'm definitely a words of affirmation girl because that's really how I give love a lot. Um, Number 3, quality time. Maybe your little one is always wants to be by you, like always wants to be next to you. Maybe you are doing the laundry. They want to help you do the laundry. Maybe you are in the garden planting and they want to be right there with you. They are showing you that their quality time with you is their love language. Quality time, is that your spouse? Is that your partner? Quality time. Can you carve out time every week to nurture your relationship with your partner, with your spouse, with your husband, with your wife? For successful long-term relationships, and as parents, we're trying to set the example for our kids. We've got to nurture our own relationships with our partners. We have to be the examples, and we have to, just like we schedule like a dentist appointment or a doctor, and we will schedule everything for our kids and we will put them on the top of the list all the time. I think we need to start putting our relationships at the top too, because everything trickles down, just like I talked about last week. Like if we don't pour into ourselves and take care of ourselves, we won't have the energy to give back to others. I think it goes with our marriages, our relationships with our partners and spouses. Like we have to work at it. We've got to pour the love in and we've got to figure out what each other's love language truly is. The fourth one is gifts. I think I have a little bit of this as well. So gifts. So I was thinking about this as I was prepping for this podcast. So students, if you're a teacher and you have students that draw you pictures and present them with you, that is gifts, like through and through. Those kids, it just really was like a eye opener when I was reading through this. Like they need gifts too, because obviously little ones, they can't go on to the store on their own and they have no money. But do you have a child right now? Maybe it's your own child, maybe you're a teacher that they color and they work hard on these drawings and pictures and they give you their picture every day. Those are gifts. They're gifts. Maybe take the time and color one and give one back to them. Maybe that's your own child. Like they draw you a ton of things or they make things out of Play-Doh and want to give it to you. That's their love language. I think that's the beautiful thing about our children and recognizing their 5 love languages. It's pretty simple because they're going to give that love to you of what they need. The 5th one is acts of service. I've had over the years lots of kids that they want to be the helper all the time in the classroom. They want to help. They want to help you clean up. They want to help sweep. They want to help clean the tables. They're an act of service. I think it's just so neat and it's so needed to just pause sometimes and take an honest look at ourselves. And love is not always about receiving, right? Like true love at its greatest form is about giving, giving, giving. And when we really break down these 5 love languages, think about where you land on there. Like, what love language do you need most to fill your love tank? And then think about this, like, how are you showing up to your own kids and to your own partner? How are you giving love? And is the way you're giving love the way they need love to be received? Or do you have to switch it up a little bit and maybe go out of your comfort zone a little bit and learn what they need from you? Because I think it's a big key in relationships and parenting and being in a marriage or a partnership. I think Gary Chapman is freaking awesome. Thank you, Gary Chapman. Like it really, really is. It's a simple way to break down love and to show honor and support to the ones that you love the most. And just as we pour into our kids, we got to start pouring into our partners and taking the time out to see and acknowledge, oh, maybe I am lacking a little bit on filling their tank, their love tank. Um, my husband and I, we check in a lot. We check in a lot. Like, how's your love tank? How are we doing on that? And or we rate our relationship. Like he loves to rate it. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but he likes to say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are we doing? But I appreciate that and I respect it because both of us have been through divorces and being married a second time to like with a partner who I just love so much and within marriage that I've never experienced this kind of love before. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to lose it. I want to be in that relationship with that kind of love that is like the love my mom and dad had until death do us part. But I believe in order to get to the until death do us part, we've got to put the work in. And yes, if we're in the you're parenting little ones, you may have a bunch under 5, you may have 1, you may be working, you may be just so overwhelmed right now because you're trying to juggle it all. So you may be thinking, "Oh my gosh, throwing one more thing into me like for me on a list of things to do, like that feels overwhelming." But I promise you your kids are going to grow so fast and they're going to be flying. They're going to be doing their own amazing things, pursuing their own amazing dreams. Just today, in fact, my 21-year-old son is home right now from the Air Force this week, and he is pursuing his career as a pilot. And it was just so awesome. He came downstairs and he was dressed in his navy blue slacks, his Air Force navy blues, with his shiny black shoes and this really nice crisp white dress shirt. And he's going to a base located closer to home, and he's trying to get transferred to a local base. So he's in state and he can pursue full time his dream to get to the airline. And just looking at him today and actually, watching all of my kids right now just pursuing their goals and their dreams and working on themselves as humans, like that came so fast. It feels like yesterday I had 3 under 3 and I had a baby on my front in my front pack. I had a toddler in the the top part of the cart and another one in the big basket of a cart. Like it came so fast. And you are going to blink. And if you love your spouse, if you love your partner and you love your marriage, I think it's so important to invest in that relationship. And so our kids can see it. Our kids can see that you're filling up your partner's love tank, that you are talking about their love language, that you are holding hands and hugging in the kitchen because it breaks my heart that my kids with their dad and they saw some of that, but they also saw crumbling marriage. And I'm sure that leaves them with fears of getting into their own relationships. So I truly think that investing in the 5 languages as a parent, as a teacher, as a partner, as a spouse can just break things down simply for us. And doing check-ins, we can't check in with our children, especially when they're young. And when they're older, we can check in, but follow the cues of your little ones. How are they giving you love? And that's the kind of love they need. So you can be the best mama, the best parent to your little ones. If you are a teacher and teaching in a classroom and you're getting 5 coloring sheets a day from a student, give them one back. Or if you have a student that is holding your leg and they're hugging you tight, hold them tight. Give them an extra hug. If you have a little one that's saying, I love you, I love you, I love your shirt, I love your shoes, give them 6 compliments back. If you have another child that's wanting to help you, maybe in a classroom clean up, or you have a little one at home that wants to be your helper, ask them how you can help them. Maybe go in their room and help them with the project. With our spouses, personally, I gotta check back in too. I gotta ask him, like, "How is your love bank?" Check in with your spouse. Do the date nights. Schedule the time and honor that relationship. I promise it's well worth it. It really is well worth it. And yeah, just take the time and invest. And I think it's a really good reminder, the 5 love languages, because I give so much words of affirmation that even for myself, I got to take a step back and realign and figure out, what does my husband need? He needs physical touch. I know that. What do my own kids need? Oh, I know that one is words of affirmation. That's acts of service. So love is a beautiful thing. And I think truly love is the answer to everything. Love is the answer. It's on my arm. Love is the answer. If we have love at the core of everything we do, as we parent, as we teach, as we run our centers, but recognizing what others' love language is so powerful. It's such a beautiful, simple tool to show and give love. So that is our 5 love languages. I wish you guys such a beautiful week this coming week. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't checked it all out yet, go visit thelovingstartway.com. We've got like really incredible things going on. We've got our community. My new book is out. It's actually paperback audio books out. It's all out. The ABCs of preschool. I'm excited about that. But check out thelovingstartway.com for more information, or if you want to work with me. Wishing you guys just an extraordinary, beautiful week full of love. And check out Gary Chapman, The Five Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts, and The Five Love Languages of Children by Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell. These are just extraordinary books. Great tools. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next week.